a couple years back before the Pacquiao fight, probably a year, I don't know the exact date, but committed suicide on FaceTime with me.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. built his legend on perfection. Undefeated, untouchable, a master of control. But even the greatest face nights where skill isn't enough, nights where survival demands something deeper. For Mayweather, one opponent forced him to fight past the flash, past the defense, and into his very core. This was the night that threatened his legacy and revealed his true limits. When you look at Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s resume, it's a who's who of boxing royalty. Born into a fighting family, with his father Floyd Mayweather Sr. and his uncle Roger Mayweather, both accomplished boxers, the sport was in his blood long before the world knew his name. But while many kids inherit talents, Floyd turned his into an empire. From the very beginning of his professional career in 1996, Mayweather made it clear he was something special. His speed was likened to the Flash. His reflexes seemed almost unnatural, and his defenses, especially that shoulder roll defense, were the stuff of nightmares for opponents. Every round felt like a chess match where he was always 3 moves ahead. People often mistake his style as cautious or boring. But anyone who truly understands boxing knows that Floyd's brilliance was in making dangerous men look average. Where others relied on power punches and brute force, Mayweather relied on timing, precision, and a mind sharper than any jab. He could read an opponent's rhythm, pick up on the smallest openings, and punish them without taking much damage himself. That's why, after 50 fights, his record still reads a clean and perfect 50-0. But Floyd wasn't just a master in the ring. Outside of it, he became a marketing genius. Money Mayweather was a nickname he earned. But even beyond that was the lifestyle. Flashy cars, diamond-encrusted watches, private jets, and bundles of cash tossed in front of cameras. He lived the way he fought, on his own terms. Love him or hate him, people tuned in. And that was the magic of Mayweather. He made boxing a global conversation, even for people who never cared for the sport. Still, beneath all the bravado, there was a fighter who trained harder than anyone else. Stories of his legendary work ethic are almost myth-like. Running miles in the middle of the night while others slept, sparring until his partners couldn't stand, drilling defense and counters until they became second nature. Floyd lived for discipline. He often said hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But in his case, he had both in spades. And while the money and fame painted him as invincible, boxing insiders knew the hidden truth. Mayweather had his moments of struggle, and not every win was easy. None of them were a walk in the park. Somewhere along the way, there were nights when he had to bite down on his mouthpiece, fight through pain, and dig into that extra reserve only the greats possess. Fans have long debated who gave him that fight. Well, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has finally put the question to rest. And when he revealed the name of the man who tested him more than anyone else, the boxing world couldn't believe it. The toughest opponent. Mayweather himself admits that not all those fights were easy. Some opponents pushed him harder than others, and out of everyone he faced, he has said one name stood out above the rest. His name is Miguel Cotto. Now, that might surprise a lot of people. You'd think Mayweather's toughest opponent would be Manny Pacquiao, considering how hyped that fight was. Or maybe Oscar de la Hoya, who gave Floyd one of his closest decision wins. But according to Mayweather himself, the night he fought Miguel Cotto was the night he had to work really hard to earn the win. It was the night he worked the hardest. To understand why, you need to know who Miguel Cotto was at the time. Cotto was not the regular guy Mayweather could push over. He was a 4-division world champion from Puerto Rico, respected for his power his toughness, and his ability to take punishment while dishing it right back. By the time he faced Mayweather on May 5, 2012, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, he was already a proven veteran. Fans loved him because he fought with heart and never backed down, no matter who was in front of him. The fight was for the WBA super light middleweight title, and Mayweather was stepping into the ring with all the confidence in the world. But even with his sharp defense, quick counters, and trademark shoulder roll, Cotto found a way to make things uncomfortable. From the early rounds, Cotto didn't let Mayweather settle into his usual rhythm. He used a strong jab to disrupt Floyd's timing and wasn't afraid to apply pressure, something many fighters failed to do against the defensive genius. Then came the 8th round. If you've seen the fight, you'll remember this moment. Cotto cornered Mayweather and unleashed a furious combination that had the crowd on its feet. For a second, it looked like Floyd was in trouble. His nose was bloodied, his back was against the ropes, and Cotto was throwing punches with bad intentions. Most opponents up to that point couldn't even touch Floyd clean, but here was Cotto landing real shots, making him look human. What made this fight different wasn't just that Cotto landed punches. In fact, plenty of boxers landed one or two. It was the fact that he kept coming, round after round, forcing Mayweather to work harder than usual. Instead of coasting to an easy win, Mayweather had to stay sharp and prove his toughness, something people often overlooked because he usually made fights look effortless. In the end, Mayweather did what he always does. He adjusted, tightened up his defense, and fired back with precise counters. By the time the final bell rang, all 3 judges gave Mayweather the unanimous decision win. His record remained perfect, and the legacy continued. But unlike some of his other fights where he walked out looking untouched, this one left a big mark. His nose was swollen, his face showed signs of a real battle, and even he admitted afterward that this was no walk in the park. What makes Mayweather's words about Cotto so interesting is that he didn't have to say it. He could have easily brushed it off like he did with other fighters, claiming no one ever came close to truly testing him. But in the post-fight interview, he gave Cotto his respect. He said, "Emmanuel Augustus was tough. Miguel Cotto was tougher. Miguel Cotto was the toughest fighter I've faced thus far." Coming from someone like Mayweather, that's a big statement. This is a man who fought some of the best of his era: Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley, Canelo Alvarez, Oscar de la Hoya, Ricky Hatton, and so many more. Yet, the one who pushed him the farthest, the one who bloodied his nose and tested his will, was Miguel Cotto. For fans, that night showed a different side of Floyd Mayweather Jr. People were used to seeing him make elite fighters look average, but against Cotto, he had to actually fight. And maybe that's why he respects Cotto so much that Cotto didn't fold under the pressure of fighting one of the greatest boxers ever. He stood his ground, leaving Mayweather with no choice but to earn the win the hard way. Even years later, when Mayweather's career was already sealed in history with his 50-0 record, he never changed his answer about Cotto being his toughest opponent. That consistency tells you just how much of an impact that fight had on him. At the same time, it adds to Cotto's own legacy. He may not have retired undefeated, and he may not have the same worldwide spotlight Mayweather has, but being the man Mayweather named as his toughest opponent, that's a badge of honor very few boxers in history can claim. And that's the beauty of boxing. It's not always about who wins and who loses. Sometimes it's about the story inside the fight, the moments where even the best are pushed to their limits. Mayweather didn't lose that night, but he walked away knowing he had been in a real war and his body paid dearly for it. But Cotto hadn't been the only one who proved tough to Mayweather. there were some others who made Mayweather work harder than his talents brought him. Let's dig them out and how they proved tough. Floyd's tough opponents. Before Floyd Mayweather Jr. became the global boxing star known as Money, he was a young, hungry fighter building his reputation. By 2000, he already had an undefeated record of 23-0 and was gaining recognition as a future superstar. But on October 21st of that year, Mayweather stepped into the ring with Emmanuel Augustus, a man who didn't have the polished record of Floyd's other opponents, but carried a reputation among boxing insiders as one of the trickiest fighters around. Augustus, nicknamed the Drunken Master, was known for his unorthodox style. He moved in ways that broke the rules of traditional boxing. His rhythm was unpredictable, his punches came from odd angles, and his relaxed stance often fooled opponents into underestimating him. At the time of their fight, Augustus's record was a modest 22-16-4. On paper, he looked like an easy night for the rising Mayweather. But inside the ring, he turned out to be anything but what he seemed. The fight started with Mayweather doing what he usually did. He established control through speed, accuracy, and defense. But Augustus didn't fight by the book. In the fifth round, he exploded with a series of clean shots that bloodied Mayweather's nose and brought the crowd to life. For one of the first times in his career, Mayweather was visibly uncomfortable, and for a moment, he seemed to get a taste of his own medicine. Despite the pressure, Mayweather responded the way great fighters do, with. He adapted, stayed composed, adjusted his timing, and with some well-calculated moves and blows, he broke Augustus down. By the ninth round, Floyd's accuracy and pressure forced the referee to step in, giving him the TKO victory. Afterward, though, Mayweather was full of respect. He admitted Augustus was one of the toughest fighters he'd ever faced, saying, "Emmanuel Augustus was my toughest opponent. His record didn't show his skill set, but the guy was unbelievable." Fast forward to the 2nd of May 2015, when the boxing world finally witnessed the long-awaited showdown between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. Dubbed the Fight of the Century, it was the bout fans had been begging for since the late 2000s. Both fighters were global superstars, both were champions, and both were widely considered the best of their era. Pacquiao came in with a reputation as one of the most explosive offensive fighters in history. His hand speed, footwork, and unrelenting combinations made him a nightmare for opponents. Unlike Augustus, Pacquiao's skill set was polished, proven, and celebrated. And while Mayweather had called Emmanuel Augustus his toughest opponent, he later admitted Pacquiao was probably the best fighter he ever faced. The fight itself was a chess match. Pacquiao pressed forward, trying to use his quick footwork and angles to break through Mayweather's defense. In the fourth round, Pacquiao landed a sharp left hand that backed Floyd up against the ropes and brought the crowd to its feet. It was one of the few moments in the fight where Mayweather looked vulnerable. But Mayweather did what he always did best. He controlled the pace. He slowed Pacquiao down with his jab, used his shoulder roll to neutralize Pacquiao's attacks, and countered with pinpoint right hands. Pacquiao threw more punches, but Mayweather's accuracy told the story. After 12 rounds, all three judges scored the fight for Mayweather by unanimous decision. While it wasn't the action-packed war many fans hoped for, it was a tactical masterclass. For Mayweather, Pacquiao's movement, angles, and relentless pressure made him one of the most skilled opponents he had ever shared the ring with. But even one more dangerous than this was coming. On May 1st, 2010, Floyd Mayweather faced Shane Mosley, a former three-division world champion known for his speed and raw knockout power. At the time, Mosley was one of the most dangerous names in boxing, and the fight was billed as one of Mayweather's biggest tests. Early in the fight, it looked like the billing was accurate. In the second round, Mosley landed a massive right hand that rocked Mayweather to his core. Floyd's legs buckled, and for a brief moment, it looked like Mosley might hand him his first professional defeat. Moments later, another right hand landed cleanly, and Mayweather was again in serious trouble. But then something happened that defined Mayweather's career. It was his ability to adjust. Instead of panicking, Floyd clinched, bought time, and then began to slowly take control of the fight. From the third round onward, Mayweather picked Mosley apart with speed, accuracy, and brilliant defense. What looked like a near disaster in the second round turned into a one-sided schooling. Mayweather went on to win by unanimous decision, but that second round remains one of the closest times he ever came to being stopped in his career. After the fight, Mayweather admitted Mosley's power and accuracy had surprised him, but he credited his preparation and focus for helping him weather the storm. Then, in 2002, Floyd Mayweather moved up to lightweight and faced José Luis Castillo, the WBC champion. Castillo was a rugged, aggressive fighter known for his pressure and body punching. On April 20th, 2002, the two met in what would become one of the most debated fights of Mayweather's career. The fight was a war. Castillo pressed forward relentlessly, throwing punches to the body and head, while Mayweather relied on his speed and counterpunching. Unlike many of Mayweather's other opponents, Castillo wasn't intimidated. He walked through punches and made it a grinding fight. By the later rounds, Mayweather looked uncomfortable, and many observers felt Castillo's aggression and output gave him the edge. When the scorecards were read, Mayweather was awarded a unanimous decision. The decision was controversial, with many fans and analysts believing Castillo had done enough to win. Mayweather himself insisted he had controlled the fight with cleaner punching, but the controversy was loud enough for a rematch to be scheduled. In their rematch later that same year, Mayweather silenced the critics. He adjusted his game plan, used his jab and movement more effectively, and won himself a clear decision. But that first fight with Castillo remains one of the toughest of Mayweather's career. And this isn't because of the punches landed, but because of the doubt it created around his aura of invincibility. Then came 2014, where Mayweather faced Argentina's Marcos Maidana. This was a fighter known for his relentless aggression and looping overhand right hand. Their first fight on May 3rd, 2014, was one of the roughest nights of Floyd's career. From the opening bell, Maidana charged forward, throwing wild punches from every angle. He pinned Mayweather against the ropes and made it a messy, physical fight. Maidana's volume and pressure made the fight uncomfortable, and for many fans, it was the most competitive Mayweather bout in years. When the final bell rang, Mayweather won by majority decision, but Maidana's performance surprised many. He had made the usually calm and composed Mayweather look flustered at times. A rematch was scheduled for September 13th, 2014, and this time Mayweather left no doubts. He adjusted to Maidana's style, controlled the distance, and won a clear, unanimous decision. But that first fight reminded everyone that even Mayweather could be pushed out of his comfort zone. While Mayweather's professional career was flawless, his amateur record carried a few losses. One of the most notable came in 1994 during a USA vs. Mexico duel meet, when a young Mayweather faced Martin Castillo. Unlike Canelo Alvarez or Juan Manuel Marquez, whom Mayweather later defeated as a professional, Martin Castillo was the Mexican opponent Mayweather named as his toughest amateur test. In that bout, Castillo handed Mayweather a rare defeat. While amateur fights are very different from professional ones, the loss stuck with Mayweather. Years later, when asked about his toughest Mexican opponent, instead of naming a professional rival like Canelo or Marquez, Mayweather pointed back to Martin Castillo in the amateurs. That acknowledgement shows how Mayweather respected not just the big names on his resume, but also the fighters who challenged him during his development. Having seen all that defined Mayweather's career, let's take a deep dive of what the picture is now. Mayweather's current status. Floyd Mayweather remains one of the most polarizing and talked about figures in sports and entertainment. Nearly a decade after his retirement from professional boxing, his name still dominates headlines. Sometimes for his unmatched career accomplishments, but more often for his lifestyle, finances, and unapologetic money persona. On social media, particularly Instagram, Mayweather continues to command attention. He uses the platform both as a stage for his extravagance and as a defense against critics. From showcasing diamond-encrusted watches to flying on his private jet, he reinforces his identity as the man who turned boxing into big business. When rumors swirl about his financial state, Mayweather counters directly online, posting pictures of luxury cars, high-value jewelry, and properties to remind everyone of the empire he built. As of 2025, Mayweather's net worth was estimated between $400 million and $500 million. His total career earnings exceed $1.1 billion, cementing him as one of the richest athletes in history. The bulk of that fortune came from blockbuster boxing purses, such as the $300 million payday against Conor McGregor in 2017 and the $250 million he earned from the 2015 Fight of the Century against Manny Pacquiao. Outside the ring, Mayweather expanded his fortune with endorsements from brands like Burger King, Hublot, and FanDuel, alongside his ventures in real estate and the money team AT&T brand. He's also leaned on exhibition bouts to stay relevant in global markets, but his wealth today is more tied to his broader investments than occasional appearances in the ring. Still, questions about his finances refuse to fade. In early 2025, speculation about possible bankruptcy gained traction, fueled by reports of underperforming gym franchises and disputes surrounding a Manhattan real estate property. Public figures like 50 Cent and commentator Stephen A. Smith amplified the chatter, suggesting Mayweather's spending habits could outpace his earnings. Mayweather quickly denied the claims, filing lawsuits against outlets that published what he deemed defamatory reports. He pointed to steady income from exhibitions, real estate holdings, and investments as proof that his financial foundation remained strong. Mayweather's wealth is as visible as ever through his assets. His aviation fleet is led by a $60 million Gulfstream G650 jet, famously branded as Air Mayweather, alongside a second Gulfstream III. Cars remain a cornerstone of his image. His collection, valued at over $100 million, features Rolls-Royce models, Bugattis, Ferraris, and other supercars, with about $15 million worth of vehicles that have never been driven. Watches are another obsession. His collection, reportedly worth $100 million, includes an $18 million Jacob & Company, Billionaire 3 watch, and a $1.8 million custom timepiece. For real estate, he splits his time between a $25 million Beverly Hills mansion and a $10 million Las Vegas estate, while maintaining additional properties across the country. Mayweather continues to embody the money persona. His 48th birthday celebration in February 2025 made headlines when he flaunted a $1.8 million watch and a custom TMT chain gifted by celebrity jeweler Benny the Jeweler. The celebration reportedly stretched into a week-long affair in Miami. emphasizing the kind of grand displays of wealth that have defined his brand for years. But is there more to him than the wealth he flaunts? At the same time, there are signs of maturity in how he manages his image. In interviews, Mayweather has expressed regret over certain past social media feuds and now speaks more about family, health, and business mentorship. He often emphasizes the importance of young boxers supporting each other rather than resorting to personal attacks. This balance between flamboyance and reflection allows him to remain relevant while reshaping how he's perceived. Physically, Mayweather continues to impress. He stays active with rigorous training routines, pad work, and consistent exercise. His launch of the 101 supplement line reflects his pivot into health entrepreneurship, using his own longevity as a selling point. He has often contrasted his condition with that of younger fighters who endure early physical decline, pointing to his defensive style in the ring as the reason his body and mind remain intact. In August 2025, a video surfaced on X showing Mayweather working pads with the same sharpness and timing fans remember from his prime. It sparked debates about whether he could still compete at a high level. While he has no plans to return to professional boxing, the footage reminded the world why his name still carries weight in combat sports. In a February 2025 Forbes interview, Mayweather reflected on his career with pride. He highlighted his decision to retire on his own terms and preserve his health as one of his greatest achievements. He spoke fondly of his defining victories over Diego Corrales, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, and Conor McGregor, framing them as milestones in his legacy. Interestingly, Mayweather avoids dwelling on controversies. He has little interest in revisiting disputes such as the failed negotiations with Antonio Margarito or debates about controversial scorecards in past fights. Instead, he prefers to focus on what he sees as his positive contributions, setting new financial standards for fighters, building a lifestyle empire, and mentoring the next generation. Whether flaunting an $18 million watch, speaking about family and mentorship, or hitting pads with flawless precision, he remains firmly in control of how the world sees him. What do you think about Mayweather's journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Catch you in the next video.